When my daughter said, "Mom, you've completely ruined the beauty of my home," I didn't know how to react. I was standing in the living room, the morning sunlight streaming in through the curtains hanging on the windows. My hands were shaking slightly, but not from anger, rather from sadness and shock. What my daughter said to me wasn't just about the paint, furniture, or flowers I'd lovingly picked and sold for my daughter's home. It was about me. I'd always believed that love is seen in the little things. I chose the perfect lighting for the kitchen, comfortable rugs, and even arranged the cushions just the way my daughter liked them. But in that moment, I realized that sometimes love can't be expressed in words. I didn't yell at my daughter for her behavior. I didn't argue with her. My daughters had a smile that morning, a small, gentle smile, but a small smile that reflected my own. Thousands of broken emotions were hidden. I returned home and sat quietly. My mind was left far away. Only my body had reached home. My mind kept going back to the times when I had always tried to be a good mother, always helped my daughter, and always tried to give her a place she could call home. But after what happened today, it felt like none of those things held any meaning. I want to tell you my story here today. The story is not about a mother's anger or about revenge. That can't be, because mothers don't take revenge on their children. This is a story about love, regret, understanding, and all the difficult changes that sometimes have to be made for peace of mind. I want you to listen to this story. Perhaps you will feel the movement. Perhaps you too have felt the same silent pain as I do today. At some point in our lives, the one we love the most sometimes doesn't love us back, and somewhere our love is rejected, after which we feel a pain. My daughter, whom I lovingly named Emma, was incredibly stylish from childhood. When she was little, her room was decorated with toys and books as if it were a showroom. I loved this about my daughter the most. I miss her childhood the most, especially when she would come and hug me after school, her hands full with her sketches, and then tell me about them. We would sit and talk for a long time. My little daughter was my best friend, and perhaps I was her best friend too. Just a few years ago, I bought a small house for Emma. The place was simple, but it exuded a lot of positivity. I thought my daughter would love it. When Emma moved in, I took great care with every detail, from the living room to the kitchen to the back garden area, trying to set everything up to suit Emma's tastes. She would invite her friends home, and in her cheerful laughter, I could sense her telling me, "Mom, this is the perfect house." But life doesn't always go as planned. Emma and I were different in many ways. While she was a perfectionist, I found life in chaos. The places I considered comfortable, she found, for some reason, a mess. I thought it might be time to give Emma space. I cared more about my daughter's happiness than my own. I was happy with my little family. I saw my world in my husband and daughter. My husband left us a few years ago. After that, Emma and I grew closer, becoming each other's family. After a deep shock, our mornings became lighter, more pleasant. We would eat meals together and laugh over old stories. My daughter and I spent quality time together, from birthdays to successful work or planting trees in the garden. We lived every moment with each other. My daughter and I lived a happy life, supported by each other's care and love. But sometimes, in families with intense love and close relationships, misunderstandings often arise. It's common for those loving relationships to crack over time. One small thing can cause the threads of a relationship to fray. When I heard my daughter say that I had ruined the beauty of her home, I realized that I could no longer shape the place I had filled with love. And as a mother, I can't put it into words. Not because she criticized my decisions, but because she couldn't see the love behind them. I vividly remembered that afternoon, making tea and sitting by the window with my cup of tea. The garden outside was completely quiet, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves. In that quiet, heavy atmosphere, I thought about my daughter's words about our home and much more. After thinking about it, I realized that love sometimes means giving up everything, even if it hurts to leave, or even if it's your own child saying it. Over the next few days, tension slowly grew between us. Emma didn't yell, she didn't slam doors, but a distance had grown between me and my daughter. This resentment was expressed in ways like declining lunch invitations and not responding to texts. When we were in the same room together, it felt suffocating and difficult to breathe. I felt as if an invisible wall had been erected between us. "I don't want this at all, Mom," I heard her voice one evening. I was rearranging furniture in her living room. Her tone was soft yet firm. I thought maybe the sofa didn't match the carpet, and the curtains, she didn't like them either. That's why she was saying that. I nodded and smiled. "It's okay, dear, we can change it," I said softly, though deep inside I felt a slight pang. Every decision I made was made with her in mind, and now nothing seemed right. Some days I would stop by her kitchen, cleaning or redecorating a vase of flowers, hoping she would smile, say thank you, but the smile never returned. And slowly I began to feel a void in the place I once thought was a gift from my heart. We would have dinners and we would share small moments. We would have light, thoughtful conversations. I would watch her soft eyes, her gaze fixed on the window. Sometimes she would look at the window and I would look at the door. I would wonder when she would finally say, "Mom, this is nice." But she never did. I started to question myself. Had I overstepped my bounds in showing love to my daughter? Was my attitude of showing love becoming a burden on her? There were nights when I would sit alone in my car outside her house. The engine would be on, but the world around me would be silent, and I would ask myself, when does love become too much? Her words, "You ruined the beauty of my home," would echo in my mind. These may sound simple and straightforward, but they had a profound impact on me. Yet I didn't want to fight over them. I didn't want the distance between me and her to widen, filling it with resentment. I wanted peace, and I also had an understanding of how to maintain it. As the days passed, I realized that sometimes peace wasn't enough to bridge the gap that distance itself creates. Days were turning into weeks, and the peace between Emma and me was turning into tension. Every meeting felt like walking on thin ice. I tried to smile, to make light conversation, but the soft distance she maintained between us felt as if everything between us had changed. I realized that my presence, the one I had once thought would always protect and comfort her, had become unwanted. It was a rainy afternoon, and I was sitting in the living room. The gentle patter of rain on the window matched the pain in my heart. Emma had gone to bed, and the house was completely silent. I went to another room in the house and touched the furniture I had so lovingly chosen. I noticed all the small changes I had made myself. I removed some flowers, redid the cushions, and even replaced the pictures. Everything seemed different now. After all this, I realized that she really wanted her own place, and I finally had to accept that. I thought about the house I had given her. That house was a gift from me, a way to show my love to my daughter. I wanted to tell my daughter through the house that you are my daughter and you deserve a home that is beautiful and safe. But as I sat there in the quiet, I realized that the gift I had given my daughter had become a source of tension. It slowly dawned on me that the gift given to show love was actually attention. Perhaps the best way to show love now would be to step back. That evening, I went home where the rain was soaking the sidewalk, but I sat at my small kitchen table, making a cup of tea, a faint steam wafting from it. Looking out the window, my mind wandered to all the years I'd spent trying to make Emma happy. The meals I'd cooked, the nights I'd waited for her to come home safely, the birthdays and holidays I'd planned. And yet, it all paled in comparison to one sentence: "You ruined my place." I wasn't angry. I didn't feel betrayed. I was hurt, sad that my love, my efforts, my care had been misunderstood. Sad that our relationship, the one I cherished, now had an invisible wall between us. And then, amidst all these emotions, a decision was made. A silent decision, not intended to hurt anyone, but to protect my own feelings. I would sell the house now, not out of anger, not out of love, but for his freedom, love, and peace. But I deserved freedom, love, and peace too, so I had to make this decision. The next morning, I called the real estate agent. My hands were shaking a little as I spoke, but my voice was calm. "I want to sell the house," I said it simply. I didn't explain anything, didn't give any reason, didn't even feel the need to explain it. I just said, "I want to sell the house." After that, I went to Emma's house. My presence was quiet. When I went to her, she looked at me and asked, "Mom, what's going on?" She said in a very calm tone, "She's feeling something is different." Before she could say anything, I said, "I've decided to sell the house." My voice was calm. Continuing, I said, "I think this is the best decision. You need your own space, and I think I should move back now." Her face went pale. I could see the surprise on her face. "Do you really want to sell this place, Mom?" My answer was simple. "Yes." I continued, "I love you, Emma, and I want you to be happy, but I also deserve peace, and if we both want ours, this is the only way." The room was quiet, only the soft hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of rain. She didn't say anything for a long time. I didn't try to fill the silence. I just waited. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling slightly. I didn't know it would hurt you so much." "I know," I replied softly. "Sometimes words sting deeper than we realize. I understand your point of view, and I respect it. I just hope you understand mine, too." There were tears in her eyes, and I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Relief because I had taken a step for both of us. Sadness because this was bound to happen. Over the next few days, Emma and I spoke more than we had in weeks. The conversations were cautious, small, and hesitant at first, but every word, every pause, every sigh slowly built a bridge between us. I realized that sometimes stepping back doesn't mean giving up. It means letting the other person move forward, while also holding them close to my heart. I also noticed small gestures that made me feel good. One morning, she left a cup of tea on the counter for me. She smiled when I told her a story from her childhood. She invited me to dinner, a quiet, simple meal that felt more intimate than any grand celebration. And yet, there were moments of sadness. Packing up the house was harder than I thought. I walked through every room, touching the walls, remembering the laughter, the small victories, the quiet afternoons we spent together. I took photos, letters, small mementos. I didn't rush. I wanted to remember. One afternoon, as I was packing up my kitchen drawers, I found a note Emma had written years ago. It was simple, almost childish, but it read, "Mom, you make everything better." My hands were shaking. Despite the misunderstandings, the disagreements, the hurtful words, the note reminded me of the love we still had. Then I realized it was never about perfection. It was about love, understanding, and respect. And sometimes that means making the hardest decision, letting go. After selling the house, life felt different. Lighter in a way, but also strangely empty. I found myself wandering through my house, noticing the silence in the corners where Emma's laughter used to echo. I remembered seeing her at the breakfast table, asking countless questions about everything, her voice filled with that gentle curiosity that had always been a part of her. At the same time, I noticed a change in her. Emma started leaving little notes around the house, small things that reminded me that she still cared. One morning, I found a note stuck on the kitchen counter. "Tea is ready. Mom, thank you for everything." I held it in my hand for a long time, feeling a warmth I hadn't felt in weeks. We began to talk more openly, slowly, carefully, like two people learning to get along after a long separation. I realized that her words, which had hurt me so much, came not from any ill intentions, but from a desire to assert her independence. She wanted to truly make the house her own, and in her mind, my choices had thwarted that. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Mom," she said one afternoon as we sat together in her living room. It was raining lightly outside, her voice a soft rhythm to our conversation. I wanted it my way, and I didn't know how to ask without being rude." "I understand, Emma," I replied softly, reaching out to touch her hand. "I just needed to feel seen, to know that my love was there, even if my choices weren't perfect." She smiled, a small, hesitant smile, and that was enough to remind me that love isn't about perfection. It's about patience, understanding, and backing off when necessary. Over the next weeks, we spent more time together, not the rushed, tense moments of before, but slow afternoons, drinking tea, talking about books, laughing at little memories from her childhood. Every day, the invisible wall between us seemed to shrink, replaced by quiet warmth and a deep appreciation for each other's hearts. One afternoon, I went to visit her as she was arranging flowers in the living room. I watched her work, noting how carefully she placed each stem, pride in her eyes, and then she stopped and looked at me. "Mom," she said softly, "I know the house was a gift, but I think I finally understand why you chose everything this way." I smiled softly. "It was all out of love, Emma, nothing more." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "I know, and I'm sorry for what I said. I shouldn't have ignored your efforts." Then we hugged gently, the kind of embrace that speaks without words. It was an acknowledgement of the pain, but also a celebration of the love that remained despite it. The process of selling the house also became a shared experience. Emma and I walked through the rooms together, laughing softly at the memories, deciding which mementos to keep. We realized that even if someone else gets the house, the love we put into it will remain with us, ingrained in the walls and corners of our hearts. I also noticed a slight change in her behavior. She became more patient, more attentive, not forced, but naturally, as if that little fight had taught her something about love and understanding. And I too learned to step back, to give her space, while still being present, knowing that my love doesn't need to be visible on every pillow, every lamp, every rug. It just needs to be quietly, uninterrupted in our hearts. There were evenings when we would sit together quietly, the dim light of lamps surrounding us, and I realized that peace doesn't always come from grandiose accomplishments. Sometimes it comes from quiet moments, being together, and the little things that remind us we are loved. One day, while sorting through some letters at home, I found a letter from Emma, written when she was young. It read, "Mom, you are my heart. Thank you for always caring." I held it close, tears welling up in my eyes. That little piece of paper reminded me that love endures, even in misunderstandings, even in moments when we couldn't see each other clearly. Weeks turned into months, and the house finally sold. The day the new owners moved in, Emma and I were together, and there were no tears, no sadness, just a quiet acceptance. That house was a chapter in our story, but not the whole story. And what remained between us was more important than any wall or furniture. Then I realized that love sometimes requires courage, the courage to give, the courage to withdraw, and the courage to forgive. Emma had taught me patience. I had reminded her of love. Together we had faced grief, misunderstanding, and pride, and together we had emerged stronger. I learned that life isn't about avoiding mistakes or suffering. It's about going through them gracefully, holding on to what matters most, and trusting that family bonds can weather even the quietest storms. Looking back now, I can see how much we both grew from that experience. Emma and I, mother and daughter, learned that love isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's hidden in the small decisions we make, the patience we show, and the courage to let go when necessary. Even after the house was sold, our relationship didn't weaken. It became something deeper, something quieter and stronger. We no longer needed walls or furniture to prove our care for each other.
Our connection wasn't in the things we shared, but in the respect, understanding, and quiet presence between us. There are many days when I think back to that rainy afternoon when I first decided to sell the house. I remember the pang in my chest, the uncertainty, the fear that I had somehow failed as a mother. And yet, I also remember the relief I felt in making that decision, not because it was easy, but because it was the right one. It reminded me that love sometimes means stepping back, even if it hurts. Emma and I now share small traditions, small routines that are just ours. Morning tea on the weekends, short walks in the garden, talking about books or songs we read or love. We laugh more, we listen more, and sometimes we sit in comfortable silence, knowing that our hearts are close, even without words. I want everyone listening to this to understand something I learned the hard way. Love isn't about control, and it's not about approval. Love is about presence, respect, and trust. It's about giving without expecting perfection in return. It's about stepping back when necessary and being patient when the other person needs space. And most importantly, love means knowing that your relationship can endure through moments of misunderstanding, hurt, and rejection. I'll never forget the moment Emma told me I ruined her beauty. It hurt so much I can't describe it, but it also became a turning point. It showed me that I can't show my love in ways she doesn't like, and that her happiness matters more than my pride. I carry this lesson with me every day. And now, when I see her arranging flowers, laughing at a small memory, or leaving a little note for me on the kitchen counter, I feel peace. I feel proud. I feel love, unconditional, patient, and enduring. Life is full of moments that test our hearts, moments when words sting deeply, or when we realize our best intentions don't always turn out the way we expect. But those moments aren't the end. They're an invitation to move forward, reflect, and love more wisely. I hope that by sharing my story, you'll understand that sometimes the most difficult decisions are the most loving. Sometimes backing down doesn't mean giving up. Sometimes it means giving space for understanding, respect, and a deeper connection to blossom.
Emma and I are still learning, still growing, still finding new ways to love each other. And through it all, I've learned that the heart is strong. Family is worth the effort, even when it's difficult. And ultimately, love, quiet, patient, and forgiving, truly makes a house a home.